Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to your way too early previews. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, pleased to be joined by my esteemed colleague and good friend, also one of the best in the business, my own Jeff Howe, joining us as well. Also, this edition of your way too early preview is brought to you by our good friends at Flat Creek Estate Winery. We will tell you more about Flat Creek Estate Wines and their fantastic venue coming up a little bit later on. But first, let's get to breaking down this upcoming opponent for the Longhorns, Jeff. And honestly, this may be projected to be, I should say, one of the weakest opponents the Longhorns will face this upcoming season. Not trying to disrespect Mississippi State at all, but last year they went 2-10. It was tied for the worst record at Mississippi State in 36 years. By the way, Mississippi State ain't used to winning a lot. I believe in their 120 seasons, I think they got 2 10-plus win seasons in the regular season that they can look at. So they don't have really high expectations. But there's no doubt they have higher expectations than 2-10. So a lot of people with a lot of change, a lot of turnover on this staff, but a lot of people expecting Mississippi State to struggle once again to try to make a bowl game.
This is a program that it was already tough for them in the recruiting landscape. That is, we know recruiting before NIL in a lot of ways more so was a dogfight. To get talent in the SEC is cutthroat. And now in the NIL where everything is out there and everybody gets to see how the sausage is made. And in a lot of ways, it's even tougher for Mississippi State now. And I think the athletic department down there has acknowledged it. I think there's some sports, baseball being one of them, where I think they realize, hey, we can funnel some money here and compete. I think Jeff Lebby's just in a really tough spot where it feels like, and you see this with some programs, it's kind of unfortunate. Jeff Lebby's in a position where, all right, can he make this a better gig for the next coach than where it was when he took the job? So, hey, try to run, a clean program and still some culture, but again, like you said, they expect a lot more in Starkville than 2-10. They knew it was going to be rough, but I don't think 2-10 is what they had in mind.
No, they did not have that in mind. And the bad luck started when Blake Shapen got hurt. Blake Shapen is expected to be the starting quarterback for Longhorn fans. Remember Blake Shapen from his time there at Baylor, but he got hurt after 4 games. But I will say this, he was playing really well in that Jeff Lebby offense. That's, I think, what's most important. He's compatible skill set wise with what Jeff Lebby wants to do in that offense. And last year he was actually proving it. He was completing 69% of his passes before he got hurt. He had 8 touchdowns, so 1 interception before the injury. He was top 5 by Pro Football Focus grade on 10-plus yard throws at the time. Top 20 in their play action pass RPO grade at the time too. And before that, you go look at it overall. Since 2023, Blake Shapen has averaged almost 8 yards per attempt, which is not bad. Accounted for 27 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. The problem is he's missed 12 games in that time span as well. So you really can't count on him to, last an entire season. And that's why they actually went out and got one of the more coveted backups in terms of the transfer portal. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Luke Kromenack. Did I get it right? He's a former 5-star player from Florida State, actually. Really good player as a prospect coming out.
Yeah, you just said it, Rod. All there's to say about Blake Shapen, it's not that he's not talented. It's just can he stay on the field? And it just kind of shows you where Mississippi State is. You go back last year when he got hurt, and Michael Van Buren, actually, his first start was the Texas game. Okay. And you can see there were some growing pains, but by the end of the year, you're like, you know what? Jeff Lebby might have something here. And then he goes into the portal and he transfers to LSU. So, that's just kind of where Mississippi State is at this point. So, if Blake Shapen's healthy, I don't know how much over the 2 wins from last year I would project them to go, but they can be more competitive. Man, that is a massive if he's able to stay healthy.
Yeah, he was 4th in the FBS in overall Pro Football Focus grade and 3rd in the SEC at the time of his injury. So, like I said, he was playing really well. I'm with you. I don't know if this is impactful enough to help them compete to make a bowl game, but there will be a better offense. At least there'll be a competent, capable one if Blake Shapen stays healthy. They also, and like I said, they also got Luke Kromenack, who's a Florida State quarterback transfer. Really high ceiling. Guy was a 5-star, so maybe he can come in and operate that offense if something happens to Blake Shapen. They also got a running back transfer, and this guy, not only has got one of the best football names, Fluff Bothwell. But he's a player. Dude, he can ball. For South Alabama, he was balling apparently. He's a
Major Applewhite.
Great point. Yeah, forget about that. Nice connection there, Jeff. A bowling ball. They say he's upwards of 220, 225, like big man, 5'10". This dude had a 35% forced missed tackle rate, top 10 in the country. He's hard to bring down, man.
You think about it, Rod. Bigger back, tough between the tackles, hard to bring down. You know what he is? He's the perfect running back for a veer and shoot offense. You think about the guys in this offense who have succeeded. Yeah, I think of Terrence Ganaway. I think of Deontay Foreman, the one year at Texas. Like, you get the 225, 230 pounders that are one cut, get downhill guys. You know, that's the thing with the veer and shoot is I think a lot of people have kind of figured out the premise of how to stop the veer and shoot, which is, hey, just try to keep everything in front of you. And the problem with it's been the guys who call plays in this thing, at some point they're going to get impatient. They'll force the mistake. So you just sit back, be patient, because they will be impatient. But when the veer and shoot is at its best, you're able to get the vertical passing game going. You're able to control the game on the outside. Then you open up the middle of the field. Then you're able to run the football. I just think at this point, Rod, along with schematics, I think the fact that football's gone to more of a positionless game defensively, the fact that you've got more hybrid type guys, and actually Mississippi State has one of the better hybrids on defense in this conference that we'll talk about here in just a minute. But I think the fact that your personnel has changed, schematics have changed, the old traditional veer and shoot that Art Browse used to run roughshod over the Big 12, I just don't think that offense can do that kind of damage anymore in any conference, let alone in a power conference like the SEC. So we'll see how they put a different spin on it. But you're right. That is the perfect build for a back in this offense.
I mean, this dude was averaging 7.5 yards per rush. I mean, he's got some cartoonish numbers, and that was a true freshman year, by the way, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got eligibility. The problem is, if he does have a great year at Mississippi State, they become kind of a stepping stone program for a lot of talent, especially offensively. We'll talk about that, the receiver position, that he'll probably try to leave and go somewhere else if he has another good year. Keep ascending up that ladder. But they also returned Devon Booth, who was averaging, around 5 yards per rush last season for him. And I mean, between those two guys, I think running back for him could be considered a strength for the Mississippi State offense.
The problem is, though, if you're in a position like Mississippi State is, unless you can control the clock and control the game and keep yourself in a position to run the football, at some point you're going to have to throw it. And that's where, their defensive issues come to light. You'll expose Blake Shapen more. So really, it just shows you how thin their margin for error is.
Yeah, on the offensive line, they're going to return a few pieces on the offensive line. I think their left guard returns for them. They went out and got they have a 6'7", 330-pound offensive lineman that plays tackle, our guard, Albert Reese.
Albert Reese the fourth is a nice player. Yeah,
he's a good player for him. Yeah, and I don't know if he's going to play guard or tackle, but he can play either one. He's a very versatile player. They got 3 transfer offensive linemen in that they're hoping are going to contribute. They got Kobe Keenum, who is a center from Kentucky. Blake Steen, Virginia transfer at tackle, is supposed to be also an impact player for him. So you're right. It won't matter what Fluff Bothwell is doing in the backfield. They can't block for him and open up some holes. And do they have the receivers to throw to? They were poached hard at the receiver position. They lost Kevin Coleman to Missouri, lost Mario Craver to A&M. Those guys were good players, and especially in that Jeff Levy system. But they're gone, and they're hoping that some of these other guys can step up, who they brought in via the transfer portal. One of them, Texas ties. Some Longhorn guys, actually. Brennan Thompson, who is now part of that receiving core. Marcus Allen with a K. Different Marcus Allen. Eastern Michigan transfer. And then a Georgia transfer. Anthony Evans, I believe, also.
Another Texas kid from Converse Judson. Yep.
Okay. There you go. Nice. So offensively, Jeff Levy is got to pray that Blake Shapen stays healthy. If Blake Shapen stays healthy, you got a shot. And I don't know what the Cruminant kid brings to the table. They can keep their quarterbacks healthy. We'll see. But I'm with you. I wonder about the weapons on the outside, and the offensive line could also be issues for them. Let's jump to the defensive side of things for Mississippi State, where last year, they struggled defensively. I'll give you a couple of stats that just are embarrassing, frankly, for Mississippi State. Just 10 sacks last year. Second fewest in all of college football. They had 2 games where they got 2 sacks. They got 2 versus Eastern Kentucky, 2 versus UMass, and they went in the other 10 games. They only got 6 combined sacks in the other 10 games. I mean, they had it was their pass rush was one of the worst in the country.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
I got nothing else to add.
Yeah, trust me, it's really bad. And they that's why they allowed 34 points per game, somewhere around there. They also couldn't stop the run. 5th worst rush defense in terms of rushing yards allowed per game in college football as well. It's just EPA per play defensively, 9th worst in college football, 3rd worst in the Power 4. Coleman Hustler kept his job. He's the defensive coordinator. They brought him in some help. Jeff, they hired Vincent Dancy, I believe he's a outside linebacker, defensive ends coach. And they actually brought in, now this could be help offense defense, as analysts, they brought in 2 former head coaches. Paul Rhodes is there and Mike McIntyre are there as analysts now on that staff.
So both those guys have been in the SEC before, right? It's been a minute, but Mike McIntyre was at Ole Miss, and Paul Rhodes was at Auburn. As a matter of fact, remember that run where it seemed like Matt kept trying to hire the Auburn defensive coordinator, like he hired Gene Chizik and he hired Muschamp. Before Chizik took the Auburn job, when it looked like Will Muschamp might take the Tennessee job, Mack has admitted his first call was going to be to Paul Rhodes at Auburn to replace Will Muschamp if he had to replace a defensive coordinator. And it just so happened that, Rhodes had left. This was going from 08 to 09. So, and then Gene Chizik takes the Auburn job and Rhodes ends up at Iowa State and that happens. But there's nothing wrong with adding some veteran eyes that have seen a lot of college football. So anything can help. There's a reason, Rod, when I talk about the Texas defense, why one of my favorite terms is earn the right to rush the passer. Be really good on 1st and 2nd down, so that way on 3rd down you can cut loose. That is the antithesis of what Mississippi State was on defense last year. You did not earn the right to rush the passer. So along with your pass rush not getting home, you didn't get very many opportunities to rush the passer because why would you?
Yeah.
Teams just had a field day running the football. I mean, if you go back to the game in Austin last year, even though Mississippi State in the first half of that game, remember that again, that was Van Buren's first start. They did a really good job actually controlling the clock and keeping the ball.
They did first quarter. They did. Yep.
But you want to do the butt here, Rod?
Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Arabian size, Cardi B size, Megan Thee Stallion size butt is.
Yeah, at some point Texas just started running the football, and the only thing that stopped Texas was either turnovers because guys kept fumbling the football. Remember that Jaden Blue had his fumble problems in that game. Right. And that was also the game where Jonte Cook dropped a couple of just would-be touchdowns from Arch. So that was a 35-13 game that felt a lot more like probably could have been like a 65-13 game. Like it could have gotten way more out of control than it did had Texas not kept shooting itself in the foot.
That's a great point, Jeff. I almost forgot about how the game went down. Listen, the hope is that these influences you brought up, Paul Rhodes, Mike, aren't they both defensive guys, Mike McIntyre? Yep. They're going to help out Coleman Hustler a little bit, and then maybe that brain trust will be able to help improve this defense. They brought in 31 transfers, I believe, total, and 10 of those were on the front 7. So they understand they got to bring in some guys that can generate pass rush. One of those players who they believe is going to be a difference maker, Red Hibbler, I believe is his name, NC State transfer. He had 6.5 sacks in 2023, but I think he was hurt last year, didn't play as much last year. They're hoping he can end up being a difference maker for them on that front 7. They got an outside. They brought another Jalen Smith, Tennessee transfer, who was SEC all-freshman, really good player for them. They're hoping he can also be an impact player at the linebacker position. Other guys, Braden Jennings, who led the team with 5 tackles for loss last year, 56 stops. He's another player on that front 7, and they're expecting big things from. Nick Mitchell was 3rd on the team with 80 tackles. He's another good player. And no Mississippi State player had, you got to look at, they just didn't have any game-changing impact players really on their front 7 last year. Not enough of them. I thought the secondary actually they had some better players.
Yeah.
They actually do have some pretty good players in the secondary coming this year too.
Yeah, talk about hybrids. Isaac Smith is kind of one of those hybrids. He's a preseason All-SEC guy, a guy that he'll play in the box a little bit. He can play some center field safety. He'll be back in coverage. But again, when your defensive backs are your leading tacklers, that's usually the sign that you had a pretty rough year on defense.
Yeah, that's a good point about that. They also brought in a safety because I think the secondary could end up being the strength from at least maybe the back seven, I should say. Jerron Manning, Old Dominion transfer, really good. I know it was Old Dominion, but a really good player for them. He was a all-conference defender. I believe he was third team all-conference defender for them. Had Pro Football Focus had him with a 90 coverage grade. Played free safety, strong safety, played in the slot a little bit too. They expect him to crack the starting lineup potentially in the secondary. He's a really good player. And they also have another safety, Braylon Lanier, East Mississippi Community College came from there, played safety and some cornerback for them, but expected to be a safety more this season than anything else. So another player in the secondary that could make some noise. Hunter Washington, fourth-year player, started at Florida State, now at Mississippi State. So those are some names to watch in the secondary. Secondary might be the strength for me, especially with Isaac Smith that you brought up coming. And I like this kid, Jerron Manning, transferring in from Old Dominion.
But this is after the Oklahoma game, you got those two to start conference play after the bye week. Go to Florida, and then you got Red River. And then this is the Kentucky game starts to just take care of your business part of the schedule. Handle your you-know-what part of the schedule when you go to Kentucky, this game against Mississippi State, and then you're going to come back home to play Vanderbilt, and then you get a bye week, and then we know those last three games, two rivalry games, two schools that would really love to beat you. Then the big one, everybody's got circled November 15th in Athens. But this is one, Rod, where you and I have talked about this. I trust Sark at this point to take a team into Starkville and not stub their toe.
Yep.
The only way this game is close is kind of like last year's game was close for a while, which is Texas just boots the ball all over the place and can't get anything going. And you know what? Some days there are games where you're going to show up and man, you'll play probably a D+ game, a C- game. If this happens to be one, then maybe it's closer. But I just think the talent disparity is so great. And I don't think that expresses itself anymore than the SEC preseason poll, which just came out. You've got the preseason favorite to win the conference against the team voted by the media to finish dead last in the conference.
Yeah, that ain't looking good for Mississippi State. I'm with you on that. That pretty much encapsulates this breakdown. A last little nugget here. No Mississippi State player had more than one interception last year. Kelly Jones is one of the cornerbacks. They're hoping that he can step up for them. They also brought in some guys via the transfer portal. You'll hear that at a lot of positions for them. Just looking at the kicker position or specialties really quickly, they do have they have a consistent piece returning at kicker. His name is Kyle Ferry. He's 26 of 34 field goals in his career, 65 of 66 on career PATs. And the punter apparently was a two-sport athlete who now has decided to focus only on football. I think he was playing baseball too. And so watch out for the fake with this guy. But Ethan Pulliam is considered the starting punter for them too. So at least they have specialists that have some experience for them, and maybe that can be something that's a strength for this Mississippi State squad. Other than that, I'm with you. I think Texas should make quick work of Mississippi State. This should be one of those games we see whoever the backup is, we should see that guy in the third quarter.
Yeah. By the way, Texas has not been to Starkville since 1991. That was John Makovic's first season. Actually, that was last year, David McWilliams. The next year, they came to Mississippi State came to Austin. That was John Makovic's first year. If you remember, Rod, this was a rivalry for just a minute because that was when Jackie Sherrill was the coach at Mississippi State. And before the 92 game, that was John Makovic's first year at Texas to fire up his players. Jackie Sherrill had a bull castrated in front of the team to let them know what they were playing, which is why, for me, one of my most satisfying victories in my years watching football was when Texas beat Mississippi State like they stole something in the Cotton Bowl, Mac Brown's first year, which was, Jackie Sherrill did that. So
he had a bull castrated in front of the team to try to inspire them.
So I don't know if Jeff Lebby's going to do that to fire up his team or what, but, they need something.
I don't know if that would fire up dudes, seeing another male animal being castrated. Nope, don't think that.
I mean, it may fire them up, but I don't know that it's going to matter all that much. The part you leave out is those Jackie Sherrill Mississippi State teams. They did have some guys that could play a little bit. So
that's true. And he's a better coach, I think, than Jeff Levy. So we'll see.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. Let's thank our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery before we get done with today's preview and breakdown. Folks, did you know the most awarded wine in Texas is actually a vineyard very close to Austin, just minutes from downtown Austin, actually, and that is Flat Creek Estate Winery with their fantastic wine, Super Texan. It recently won Best Red Blend at the San Francisco Wine Festival, got a 98 out of 100, almost a perfect score because it is a fantastic blend. So now they can brag that it's not only the best red blend in Texas, but it might be the best red blend in the country. The Super Texan is available at your local Specs. Also, they have it at your local HEB as well. And I saw a display at our local Central Market here in town. Also, check out Flat Creek Estate Winery's gorgeous venue. Not only do they produce some of the best premium wines on the market, but they also have a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. It's perfect for any day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with that very special significant other. Check them out for yourself at flatcreekestate.com. That's flatcreekestate.com. Thank you very much, Jeff. Appreciate all of the tidbits and all the knowledge. Thanks to Matthew behind the scenes, always twisting and tweaking the dials. He's the real MVP. And thanks to each and every one of you for listening and for watching. And thanks to our friends at Flat Creek Estate Winery as well. So for Jeff and for Matthew and for our friends at Flat Creek Estate Winery, I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.